All right. I guess we're live. Are we? Yes, we are. All right. All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to be jumping into several stories today. So, first off, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another live stream. Yay. We are going to be covering 3 stories, and I hope you like it. So we're starting off early today because I felt like starting off early today, to be honest. First off, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share. Like the video, share the video, let everyone know that they should watch the video, the live stream. And please don't forget to leave a comment. The live chat is on, is hot, and is on. So please let's know your thoughts on the active stories. We're streaming live on YouTube and Rumble, Kick, Twitch. So let's go. So before we dive in, please consider patronizing the merch store. I have a bunch of new drinkware that you might like. So head on in there and take a look. Okay, so we're starting with the first story. Okay, the first story is of a Democrat.
Guys, I got to be honest. When we were doing
sorry. So a Democrat, Chuck Schumer, calls on liberals to forcefully resist or rise up against Trump over the Letitia James indictment. All right, so we're going to just listen to this story and then give our reaction. And don't forget to please chime in the chat and let me know where you're watching from, what part of the world you're watching from, and also let me know your thoughts.
Production for the show, I was like, did you hear what happened in Chicago? A vehicle rammed DHS. They pursued them, pulled a pit maneuver, causing a crash. Get out. A bunch of locals start swarming around and throwing rocks. I'm like, this is crazy. This should be the lead story for tonight. And then we go to Post Millennial, and Chuck Schumer is like, people need to forcefully rise up against Trump. And I was like, oh my God. Here's the story from the Post Millennial. Chuck Schumer calls on Americans to forcefully rise up against Trump over Tish James's indictment. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, liberal, or conservative. Moderate people should be forcefully rising up against this. I'm going to play the clip for you because this is where we are.
Then they find another one. It is just such a hallmark of tyrannical, autocratic, dictatorship societies that they use the prosecutorial department as a political weapon. It is a disgrace, and every American, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, moderate, people should be forcefully rising up against this, speaking out against it.
So how come they didn't do that when the Justice Department under President Biden was doing that to Trump? I call double standard, I call BS. If you're a fair-minded person now, all of you who've been following me know I'm not Republican and I'm not Democrat, all right? It's about being fair-minded. We watched as Chuck Schumer and his colleagues in the Democrat Party leadership celebrated the fact that President Trump was being indicted and dragged through the courts. They had no problem watching Letitia James advertise her open plan to indict President Trump as far back as 2018. This was something that everyone knew about. By 2020, she was on The View telling them that she was going to start the process of indicting him as soon as he left office on January 21st of the next year. Everyone knew about it. So when you watch them jump around, like with their hairs on fire, screaming, the justice system is being weaponized, well, it's clear that they just, the hypocrisy really doesn't faze them. These guys are shamelessly going around saying this. Okay, so let's keep listening.
Making it clear how inimical this is to what our democracy has been stood for more than two centuries.
I'm not playing games with these people. I don't care about how many of you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to do that. The man literally said, forcefully rise up against this, speak out against it, and that is a 3-part statement. He was saying to forcefully rise up against it. There is only one. He's talking about physical force. I mean, fine, if you want to talk about coercive force, sure. He's literally saying use force against Trump and his law enforcement. We've seen that going on. We know that AOC shares the ideology with Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin. We know that these people have venerated the alleged assassin of Brian Thompson, Luigi Mangione. So I am done playing these games where it's like, maybe Chuck Schumer meant something. Shut up. We know what they mean.
All right, so yeah, there's a poll, okay, on the YouTube side, on the main channel and on the backup channel. If you're watching on Kick or Twitch, sorry, there's a poll on the YouTube side. But if you're watching elsewhere, just leave your thoughts in the chat, okay? Do you think Chuck Schumer's statements are serious? Does he mean actual violence, or is he being figurative? Okay, just let me know in the chat. If you're watching on the YouTube side, take the poll and let's know what you think about what he's saying. Because when the Democrats say one thing, okay, they expect you to believe that they don't actually mean that it's that thing. They're being, facetious. They're being figurative. But when a Republican says the exact same thing, all right, they take it to mean exactly that same thing. And words matter. Words matter. So let me know in the poll and in the chat what you think he meant.
And if you sit there and think, no, he certainly must have meant something different, then just sit by as the fire engulfs your home and you'll be left wanting.
He didn't mean anything different. He wants to see people taking action. This is what the left has been begging for as long as Donald Trump has been in politics, right? Like, you heard people start in 2016 when they're saying, oh, the right, they're all Nazis, they're all this, and we have to fight fascism, and Donald Trump's a Nazi, and it's okay to punch Nazis, and blah blah blah. They've been they've been making this argument for 10 years, and now we're seeing people that have heard this argument for since they were children,
which is true,
16, 15, whatever. They're now in their 20s.
My daughter was born in 2016, and today she's about to turn 10 years old next year. A lot of time has gone by, and a lot of these people who were 10 when all of this started are 20 today. Okay, what he's saying is actually true. They've been seeding the atmosphere with this sentiment for over 10 years. Imagine that. Imagine growing up, hearing this from mainstream media, reading this in online magazines and blogs, hearing it from your schools. The teachers are saying it. We saw kids who were being filmed by their parents on TikTok crying because President Trump had won the election, because they were terrified. They were told that he was going to end the world, that he was going to arrest them, that he was going to do horrible things. And people's brains have literally been rewritten by the narrative about what mainstream media and the Democrat Party have said about Donald Trump and about conservatives. So when you see them acting out the way they're acting out in Portland and in Chicago and in California, you shouldn't be surprised.
And they're taking action. This is exactly what Chuck Schumer wants.
Weak Chuck, right? He looks like Joe Biden with glasses, like Joe Biden and Woody Allen. What a creep. What a weirdo.
Unreal.
Right? Letitia Jashi, I call her the poor woman's Oprah, right? The poor woman. Right? You get a riot. You get a riot. What a nasty woman.
It's a tick. That's a good Donald
autism.
I have no Donald Trump at all. So, but yeah, I mean, look, it's not a surprise.
Seamus looks uncomfortable.
Wait, no, I mean, I don't know. The story is messed up. I know we talked about it the other day. Obviously, she should be imprisoned. I have no idea why she should get kind of well, what I should say is if she's found guilty by a court of law, there should be legal consequences. But the idea that you can't bring charges against somebody. All right. Well, then I don't know what to say, man.
No. Like, oh, she's found guilty by a court, like Trump was. It's like,
yeah,
these people in New York made up fake crimes against Trump.
Yeah. Yep.
Look, listen. Let's just be blunt about everything. If the DOJ brings charges in a liberal jurisdiction, she's free to go. If they bring charges in a conservative jurisdiction, she's getting the book thrown at her.
Okay, so but here's a problem. All right, now here's a problem, and I disagree with this analysis. I disagree with the observation. Okay, but it's actually something to be concerned about. Why should the justice system operate differently in Democrat jurisdictions and in Republican jurisdictions? It means that you don't live in America anymore. You basically live in a hodgepodge of ideologies. In one location, you can get a justice system swing one way. In the other direction, in the other jurisdiction, you get it swinging a different way, which is a problem in my books. The justice system should work evenly, the same. Now, I guess from his analysis, no matter what happens with the Letitia James case, there is going to be the stain of partisan justice being played out, or a two-tier justice system being played out. In the conservative arena, she's going to basically have harsher penalties placed on her, which is wrong. The punishment should fit the crime. If she's going to have the book thrown at her, I don't support that. I think she should be judged accordingly. However, there's a sentiment that Tim Pool is trying to put out here, and that is that the Democrats are not playing by the same rules that Republicans are playing by. So Republicans have to wake up and begin to play by those same rules that the Democrats want to play by. I guess that's what he's saying. This makes me quite unhappy, and I do not support it, but I can see where he's going. Let me know what you think in the comment section or in the chat. This is live, okay? This is live. So let me know what you think in the chat, okay?
We are so far past this argument about if she gets convicted by, a jury of her peers. That didn't happen with Trump or Trump's lawyers. It didn't happen with the J6ers. So I don't understand why we're still in this position where conservatives, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, Seamus, but conservatives keep saying, let's keep playing by the rules Democrats aren't playing by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you threw the mic to me when I didn't have anything to say, so I just pointed out what my thoughts were on it. I mean, I think if she's guilty, she should go to jail.
I don't think it's about convictions.
Could have pitched your cartoon, man. Any silence hits the cartoon.
TwistedPlots.com, everybody. Twisted Plots.
I don't think, again, it's about the conviction. Again, as Tim said, the J6ers weren't convicted. It was about the process that they were forced to go through. You still have to hire lawyers and put your family through this years of uncertainty of whether or not you're going to be arrested. They put the president through the same thing. And I mean, I do think these charges will likely be dropped. But again, it's the process that people have to go through. And I think this is what retribution from the president looks like. I think the more fascinating part of this story here is that Chuck Schumer has to do this because he's posturing to avoid his left flank taking over and primarying him in his upcoming election. I believe he's up for re-election in 26. AOC could likely challenge him, and he needs to flank more to the left and cover his left flank to avoid being primaried.
Here's
from AOC.
Do you think that's kind of baked in already? I mean, it's my impression that AOC is absolutely going to challenge him.
What do you agreed, but let's do the math here. If Schumer is actually saying be violent because he's trying to beat AOC, let's just go step by step. Okay. If Schumer says to people, be violent because he's trying to get ahead of AOC, what do you think the next course of action politically will be between AOC and Chuck Schumer?
Who could say to be more violent?
They're going to try to one-up each other in this area of direct conflict, direct action.
Wait, are they running against each other?
The presumption is AOC is going to try to primary Schumer in New York.
Okay.
She actually, the official reporting is she's looking at president or Senate.
And this could also explain as to why Chuck Schumer is leading a shutdown to show that he is fighting back against the so-called fighting back against the Trump administration by shutting down the government.
Can I ask you?
So in essence, the entire play by the Democrat Party is simply to use power to consolidate their own power. I guess that's what's going on. So Chuck Schumer, according to their analysis, is using the levers he has access to in order to position himself to get reelected. That should make you think, because it means if this is the way they play politics with power, and honestly, I wouldn't want to be naive to say that that is exclusive to the United States. It's a global phenomenon with politics. Politics is essentially trying to sway people to like you and to vote for you and to keep you in power. That's politics. And these people are using these levers, in essence, using the people, the masses, to do their bidding by engineering these circumstances like the government shutdown. Okay. Now, what are my thoughts on that? All right. I'll throw the question out to you. What do you think about politicians doing that, to you, whether they're Republican or Democrat? I'm of the opinion that the people should begin to use the politicians as tools and not let them use you as tools. So the question is, you want to shut down the government. Why? And then let them explain why. The Democrats will claim that it is because they want to secure Medicaid and healthcare, that the Republicans are trying to take away Medicaid and healthcare. You go back and do your own research. Don't listen to them. Don't believe them. Do your own research. Figure out if they're telling you the truth. If they aren't, hold their feet to the fire and get them to do what they're supposed to do. Same goes for the Republicans. If the Republicans are saying these guys over here are doing this, go back and do your own research. It's the most important thing. We need to begin to think for ourselves. All right. I'm being really honest because I'm really sick. I spent years believing politicians. I spent years believing politicians. I spent years believing the mainstream media. And eventually I found out that they were all liars. So I think for myself, and it's easy to get carried away and say, yes, this is something I want, but you also have to keep your eyes on the ball. All right, keep your eyes on the ball. Don't just get so excited and carried away, and then the politicians get you hypnotized and you just support everything they do and say. All right, so it's really important. Let me know in the chat if you agree and what you really think about all this.
Question quickly, Elad. You mentioned this as retribution, and I think there's a few ways to understand that. Do you think that this is justified? Do you think it's good for them to go after her, or are you of the opinion that this is the kind of thing the administration should let go? I'm curious what your perspective is there.
I think this is payback. Mm-hmm. Can you repeat the second part of your question?
Yeah. I guess my question is,
I do think that's
a word that because that's a word that could be like prescriptive or descriptive. So my question is, like, when you call it retribution, often when people call it retribution, they mean that with a negative connotation. This is petty. This is pointless. This is political. He shouldn't be doing this. I'm just clarifying.
Yeah. So, I think that Democrats, it started actually before the president, Donald Trump was indicted while Joe Biden was president. And I guess this is payback. Whether or not I think that's like justified or not, I think it is justified given the totality of the situation. These are people who have come. I think Tish James was involved. I forgot which case in particular, but I believe she brought one of the cases against him that eventually was to be dropped. And they went against all the Trump allies too. Yesterday, you guys had on Peter Navarro, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. He had to spend time in jail for things that, what was it, contempt of court, or was that Bannon who was
Congress?
Contempt of Congress, or one or the other. So do I think it's justified? Yeah, the DOJ has been politicized. If anybody has any sort of inkling of doing something wrong, then they should be punished to the full extent of the laws. But I believe there was I forgot who was reporting it, but there were also people in the Trump administration who have worked for Trump who have misfiled their mortgage filings in the past as well. And in the future, I'm sure the DOJ will continue to be politicized. So I guess the warning is that, what goes around comes around, but that's what's happening right now.
And if that's true, it simply means that the entire political class is compromised. Everyone is compromised. The Democrats, the Republicans. You might be watching and saying, so who's this guy? What does he believe? Look, I like balanced, nonpartisan analysis. I don't like feeling like I'm lying to myself, first of all. So I will tell the truth to myself first, okay? To myself first. And then if I can tell the truth to myself, then I can easily tell you the truth. Yesterday, I was listening to Moist Critical, and maybe I might do a reaction to that video in a future stream where he's breaking down the crypto crash that happened. I think it was the day that Donald Trump announced the 100% tariffs on China. And then just before that happened, there were people who were tied to the Trump administration shorting their crypto investments up to the minute before President Trump gave the announcement about the tariffs on China, and then the crypto market crashed. You're not going to hear me defending that. I'm not going to say there's nothing to see here. Like I said, I'm going to do that video. I'm going to do that video and we're going to go through it and then listen to what's going on and then also maybe have a conversation around that. The idea behind conversations like this is for us to be able to break the hypnotism of either party, whether you're Democrat or Republican. I am definitely conservative. Therefore, in the current version of the Republican Party, I will support the policies of the Republican Party. But if I see corruption being played out by the Republican Party, like I just got through talking about my concerns about the weaponization of the justice system, I'm not going to sit back and clap like a seal, that's happening. Clearly, there's some politics to Letitia James being indicted. Why is that? Because, like he just said, there are other people who have done the same thing. If she did it, a bunch of other people have done the same thing. And I think it's one of the charges that Adam Schiff is facing, the same thing about mortgage fraud. So this is something that most people in Washington, D.C. and in politics do because it is a special privilege that they have access to, and they take the privilege. So Letitia James decided to step over the line and attack President Trump based on that privilege that people who can get it, do use. And now she's being prosecuted on the exact same thing she prosecuted President Trump over. So she opened Pandora's box. She's getting the blowback from it. But how many other people in the Trump administration, in the Democrat Party or the Republican Party do the exact same thing? So that's the question. It just simply means that the entire political landscape has been compromised. And that is something that should concern everyone. Everyone is concerned about left versus right, but when you have people who expose themselves because they have chosen to not live very clean or honest lives or have clean dealings, there's a problem there. Many years ago, I thought to myself, if I even think that at some point in my future I will be a public figure, I need to make sure that my life doesn't have some of the skeletons that I see these people in leadership have. Now, I haven't made the best decisions throughout my life, so I still think that I'm still going to have someone point at something in my life that doesn't exactly make sense. But when you begin to throw stones at other people because of the crimes that you yourself have already committed in the past, then there's a problem there. All right. So let me know what you think about, my breakdown so far. Am I being so middle of the road that you don't know what I'm saying or know what I'm doing? Hey, just give me a comment. Let me know what you think. I see comments in my comments section that are just way out there. People are either all the way over on the left, Democrat, blue, no matter who, and they don't sit back to ask real questions. They just hate conservatives, or they hate Donald Trump, or they hate Christians so much that they would vote the other way. Let me give you one example now. The peace deal between Israel and Gaza has been signed. Yet, I have someone in my chat who is so hateful of Donald Trump that he's busy typing out, don't worry, this peace deal is going to end real soon. And the sentiment is not that the parties, and I've said it already, that the parties seem to not have the capabilities of holding a peace deal because of the history that they both share, the Palestinians and the Israeli. And that's a basic observation. But when someone gives their reason for a peace deal not being held for long to be connected to the fact that they hate Donald Trump so much that they wish that the peace deal will fail so that they can have something to gloat about, then you have a mental disorder. That's essentially what it is. You have a mental disorder because you're wishing ill on a geopolitical location simply because you want Donald Trump to fail because you hate him so much. And if that's your sentiment, you do have a very deep-seated problem. You have a very, very big problem. And you need to change your mind. You need to repent. All right. So that's what I'm going to say about that. It's really important. It's really important that you learn how to, embrace truth without being partisan. Learn how to embrace truth without being partisan. It is important. Okay, so let's wrap up this video.
Warning is, if Republicans lose, whoever wins the next election, that's it. We've seen what Democrats do with power. They arrested Trump's lawyers. I need to stress this for all of you. Jenna Ellis may be cowardly, but they arrested Trump's lawyers. Like, Trump was accused of bad things. So he said, I'm going to hire a lawyer. Well, actually what happened was Trump hired lawyers to assist him in his challenge of the election, which is literally a redress of grievances. Jenna Ellis drafted a letter at the request of Trump, so they charged her with 2 counts of RICO. They then got her to beg and cry and plead guilty. They went after Trump's lawyers. I think it was in Wisconsin. Look how they went after the J6ers. Look at the fake charges on the hush money thing, the falsification of business records. Those are misdemeanors they falsely claimed were felonies, and the court went along with it.
Yep.
So if y'all are crazy enough to think that we are playing this game of courts and whatever, I mean, look, conservatives went to Portland and got arrested. Like, I think 3 instances now where conservatives were attacked and the police in Portland arrested them.
Yep.
I'm just flabbergasted that there are people who are like, I can freely travel to Portland and the police will help me. It's like, are you joking? Well, you are an enemy partisan to these people.
Here's the wild thing. And part of why I wanted to ask you for clarification is because I think I understood how you meant it. I just wanted it to be clear to the audience. It's funny because people will say, oh, Trump is doing this for purely political reasons. But if that's the case, why do so many of these people have so much shadiness in their past that can be investigated, that can allow for them to be brought up on all these charges in the first place?
I mean, it's more
exactly.
I wish they got him on something meatier, right? I wish they got Tish James on something more meaty than
I think
like her body, right? She's got a meaty.
I think the point was literally to go after her for the exact same thing she accused Trump of: falsification of mortgage documents.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and if that was their point, I mean, I think they're also going against Peter Schiff with.
The same thing.
So Adam Schiff, rather.
Peter Schiff?
Yeah.
The same thing. Yeah.
Bad predictions.
Peter Schiff. Don't you think that
Schiff.
I feel like this is just like whatever opportunity presents itself. Because these are things that are legitimate.
But if you don't have the goods,
But I think they actually do. If the evidence that we've seen about Letitia James is accurate, I think we do have the goods in there.
Let's look. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL.
All right.
Watch the show live Monday through Friday.
All right. So this is coming from Timcast IRL. Please head on over to his channel, like his content, subscribe, and let him know that we sent you. Now, let's know your thoughts on this story. I am looking at the polls and I'm seeing something really surprising, but I'm not going to uncover it just yet. The response from the backup channel is really interesting. And I would like to, talk about that soon. Now, we're going to skip over to the next story. But before we skip over to the next story, let me know your thoughts in the live chat. All right. The live chat is there for you to have conversations with us so that you can tell us what you think about the story. Let's have some back and forth. You're free to push back on some of the commentary that I've made. That's fine. I want us to go back to that place where you can have a decent conversation about these issues, shake hands and go home without calling each other evil or racist or bigoted. That's it. I mean, that's really what I think we should be aiming for. Many years ago, I used to wonder why people avoided talking about politics. And today, I think I have a fair idea why, but I still don't support the idea of people allowing their conversations about ideas and policy to devolve into the kinds of comments that I see in my comment section. So I'm not. I'm really interested in having a cordial conversation. So, next story. President Trump awards Charlie Kirk the Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously. So we'll just watch that and listen to the speech and then react to the speech. I felt like I didn't know that this was happening, or shall I say I forgot it was happening yesterday. So today, we're watching this. I would like to share this moment with you. I actually started out watching it earlier today, but I felt that I like doing these things with you guys watching it. So we're going to watch this and then give our reactions to the speech. I think Charlie Kirk's wife, his widow, also spoke. So we're going to cover this. Let's get into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by Erica Kirk.
Please like the video, subscribe, share, and most importantly, let me know your thoughts in the chat. While the speech is going on, please feel free to post your comments in the chat. The live stream only makes sense if you engage and if you interact.
Thank you very much, everybody. Please, this is such an honor. This is please be seated. This is the first time we've been at the new and improved Rose Garden, and people are loving it. They're loving it like they've not loved a lot of things. We have the Presidential Walk of Fame, which you just saw, and it just opened, and we wanted to get it open for this occasion. We were hoping we were able to get outside, and the weather allowed us to. It was supposed to be a terrible rainy day. I was telling Eric, and God was watching, and he didn't want that, Charlie. He just didn't want that. So that's really beautiful. It couldn't be more beautiful. Today we're here to honor and remember a fearless warrior for liberty, beloved leader who galvanized the next generation like nobody I've ever seen before, and an American patriot of the deepest conviction, the finest quality and the highest caliber, the late, great Charlie Kirk. Five weeks ago, our nation was robbed of this extraordinary champion. He was a champion in every way. I got to know him so well. He didn't like losing, and he was able to fight people that were enemies, and he didn't necessarily love those enemies so much. I heard he loved his enemies, and I said, wait a minute, is that the same Charlie that I know? I'm not sure, but I didn't want to get into it. But it was a horrible, heinous, demonic act of murder. He was assassinated in the prime of his life for boldly speaking the truth, for living his faith and relentlessly fighting for a better and stronger America. He loved this country. And that's why this afternoon it's my privilege to posthumously award Charles James Kirk our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you. As you know, only hours ago, I returned from a very historic trip to secure peace in the Middle East. People said that couldn't be done. Charlie felt it could be done. Charlie felt it could be done. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. But I raced back halfway around the globe. I was going to call Erica and say, Erica, could you maybe move it to Friday? And I didn't have the courage to call. But you know why I didn't call? Because I heard today was Charlie's birthday. And I said, that was a definite. And I said, we're going to have to forget about some of those very big, very rich countries that expected me to be there. And I can tell you, based on the length of that flight, I wouldn't want to go back tomorrow. But I would not have missed this moment for anything in the world. Nothing. And it's a very important time for our country, and our country is doing so well. It's never done better. We are a country with almost now $18 trillion of investment coming in. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. Previous administration had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We have more than 18, it'll be much more than 20 by the time the year, more than $20 trillion. There's never been a country in the world that had anything like that. What's happened to our country is incredible in a short period of time. Charlie was a big person for, sir, can we close up those borders, please, a little bit? They're really leaking badly. I said, Charlie, I haven't gotten there yet. But, it came out the last 4 months. Literally nobody was allowed into our country. And the only people that were allowed in were people that came in legally. The borders are absolutely stone cold closed. And they reported 0, 0, 0, and 0. So that's pretty good. But he was a big believer. He wanted people in the country more than I did, frankly. He wanted them to come in legally. And he got his wish. October 14th is Charlie's birthday, and he should have been turning 32 years old. I tell you, when I first met him, he was like 22. And I said, boy, he's awfully young, but I thought he was older than that. He looked a little bit older than his age. That's okay. That's not good when you're old, but when you're young, it's great. He had the best of all things, but he was special. But instead, Charlie is attaining a far more important milestone. We're entering his name forever into the eternal roster of true American heroes. He's a true American hero, an amazing person, way, way beyond his years. And I'm honored to be joined by a woman who has endured unspeakable hardship with unbelievable strength, and that's Charlie's widow, Erica. And I just want to thank you, Erica. He loved you so much. I was with him. Please. Thank you, darling. Thank you. I was with him before I met Erica, and he told me he was going to get married. He said, you won't believe how beautiful she is. I said, well, then now that I meet her, he's right. But then he also said, and you know what? She's like the smartest person I know. See, they do go together on occasion. Not often. Not often. But on occasion they go together. But he was in love with you. He was deeply in love with you. It's great. Erica, your love and courage have been an inspiration to all of us, and We will always be here for you, and we're always going to be here for your gorgeous, beautiful children. And we'll never forget what your family has sacrificed for our country. Man loved our country. When things were going badly for our country, he was so, as you know, angry. He would get angry because he said it doesn't have to be that way. We're also pleased to be joined by an incredible group of Charlie's friends, very powerful friends, actually, and some not so powerful, and they're actually better people, okay? I know them all. They're the less powerful ones. I have to tell you that, all of you power guys down here. The best ones in the group are the ones that are less successful, but that happens too. No, they're all great, and they're here. And let's start with Erica's father. Where is Erica's father? Where are you? Where are you, Dad? Oh, look at him. Wow. I want to get a hat like that, too. I like that. How are you? Nice to see you again. Thanks as well to Vice President J.D. Vance, who's been fantastic. J.D., thank you very much. Great. Doing a great job. Did a great job on Sunday with George Slopadopoulos. Put him away pretty good. Second lady, who's a phenomenal woman, Usha Vance. Thank you very much, Usha. Thank you very much. Great woman. President of Argentina. He wanted to be here. That's Argentina's a serious flight, right? And he's become a superstar, and he's doing amazing things. He's a MAGA person, but it's make Argentina great again. That's what he does, right? And I want you to stand, please, Javier Milei.
Oh, he's there. Wow.
Good job.
Didn't know he was.
Thank you very much. Many members of my cabinet are here. Just about all of them are here. I won't go into every single one of them, but I'll announce a few of the people that have really turned this country around and helped me. Incredible people. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Where is Mike? Mike, what a job you're doing, Mike. What a job you're doing. And I watched you this morning, and you're in there trying to say, look, just let the country open. Everything will be fine. We're dealing with some radical left lunatics. And I just wish Charlie was here to fight us. I think the fight would have been over already. He would have had a march on the Capitol by people whose average age is about 21, because there's nobody that had that relationship with young people. Right, Mike? So thank you, Mike, for being here. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Steve, thank you very much. A brave guy and a friend. House Majority Whip, another terrific man, Tom Emmer. Thank you, Tom. Senate Majority Whip, John Barrasso. John, thank you very much. You have all these senators. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm not going to read all their names. I'll be reading all day. We'll be talking about Charlie in about 45 minutes from now. We can't do that. So all of the senators, there's so many of you. Thank you very much. I do want to thank Senator Thune for doing a terrific job. He's really been leading properly. Do you agree, Mike? The team, the two of these guys have been fantastic. So to Senator Thune, I want to thank you very much. Incredible job. I watched him this morning, and he was out there pounding them this morning on television, too. And John Barrasso, thank you for the work you've done, and congratulations on your success. But I want to thank you all and all of the Congress people that are here. And I see we have our Attorney General here, and you are doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Pam. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have everybody. Wow, that's incredible. Okay, I'm not going to do any more. I'm going to be here too long, but I just want to thank you. You have given him such support, but he always gave you such support. That's why you're here. And very unusual. Charles James Kirk was a visionary and one of the greatest figures of his generation. He was truly an amazing figure and growing leaps and bounds. He knew that the fight to preserve our heritage is waged not only on the battlefield and in the halls of power, of which we have tremendous power here, including the head of a place called war. We call it now war. We had defense. We had our Secretary of Defense. Now we have a Secretary of War. And somehow I think it's more emblematic, and hopefully we'll never have to use war. But the fact that we're ready is very good. Peace through strength is very important, but also in the hearts of our nation's youth. That's where Charlie rode strongest. At age 18, that insight inspired Charlie to found the organization that ultimately touched the lives of millions and millions of people, and so many young people that nobody's ever seen anything like it, frankly. Turning Point USA. It's amazing, and it's actually bigger now. It's become bigger in the last few weeks than Charlie ever thought.
Yeah, it's grown massively.
I think his end vision in many years from now would have been just a fraction of what it turned out to be in a couple of weeks, right? It's amazing. With hard work and joyful spirit and endless enthusiasm and determination. And he did have great enthusiasm. You know, I always say you need enthusiasm to be successful. He had great enthusiasm. Charlie grew Turning Point into the largest conservative youth organization in the entire country. He forged a personal bond with countless young conservatives. He fought for free speech, religious liberty, strong borders, and a very strong and proud America. In everything he did, he put America first. He really put America first. And ultimately, Charlie became more than a leader of an important organization. He became the leader of historic movements all over the country. There were movements, individual movements, one movement, but it was historic. Everything he did was historic, and a true evangelist for the cause of freedom and the word of Almighty God. God was very important to Charlie. Yep. He would say, you know, if you don't have religion, you're not going to have a strong country. It's true. He was so wise beyond his years. You know, I talk to him sometimes and say, this guy is like a young guy. He was really a wise man. From the time Charlie worked on my presidential campaign in 2016, and he was there right from the beginning. He liked me. I don't know. I have no idea why. What the hell was he thinking? He said, you're going to win, sir. I said, you know, I'm running against 17 senators and a lot of tough people and governors. We have all these people. And he said, no, you're going to win, sir. He said, not going to be close. And he made it happen. He wasn't likable with the way he debated. He was not likable. Kamala standing here today, that would not be good. I will tell you, Javier, you don't know who Kamala is. Promise, it would not be good. You agree with that, Howard? He also mobilized countless citizens to go vote. It's called Go Vote. Very simple. And with his help in 2024, we won more young people than any Republican by far in the history of our country. And we won the popular vote. We won the swing states, all 7 of them. Remember, they said, oh, well, if Trump could win 4, that would be nice. I win 7 by a lot, by a landslide. But the popular vote was massive. And we won the Electoral College. Remember, they said, well, it's going to be very hard. I'd say 270. Well, we got 312.
Why does he have to keep reminding us? Because mainstream media keeps trying to frame him as illegitimate. So he has to keep putting it out there. That's why. 2,750 to 525. That's the one where you see the map is almost entirely red, except they have a little blue line on one side and a little blue line, meaning New York and a little bit Los Angeles. I have a feeling that if the vote were 100%, we would have won that too. You want to know the truth. But he knew, and he knew very well, and he also understood honesty, and he was always concerned with honesty. He said the only way we can lose is if the cheating gets so bad, and that's where we came up with a little phrase, too big to rig. We said, go out and vote. Just go out and vote. And we had that. Remember, we used to say that all the time because people would say, oh, they're going to win. We don't have to vote. Let's go to a movie. We'll come home and watch later. And he wasn't about that. So we come up together, we came up with that phrase. We got to make it too big. I never made a speech where I didn't say at the end, now look, the polls are showing good. Don't believe the polls. He said, we're going to make it, Susie, right? Too big to rig. So if you think we're going to win by a lot, doesn't matter. Pretend we're losing. You got to go out and vote. Yeah. They voted. And at 9:02, the whole thing was over, right? 9:02. Remember they said, oh, this could go a few days. Well, it went a few minutes. 9:02. And he knew that. And I felt it, but he knew it. He knew it. I think he knew it more than anybody. But Charlie never missed an opportunity to remind us of the Judeo-Christian principles of our nation's founding or to share his deep
Christian faith. In his final moments, Charlie testified to the greatness of America and to the glory of our Savior, with whom he now rests in heaven. And he is going to make heaven. I said, I'm not sure I can make it, but he's going to make it. He's there. He's looking down on us right now. It's so incredible. Look at this, how this turned out. This was supposed to be so dark and cloudy. Not dark and cloudy, is it? Look at that, how beautiful that is. There's no artist that can capture it as beautiful as it is today. Wow, it's amazing. As I said, on the day that he was assassinated, Charlie Kirk was a martyr for truth and for freedom. And from Socrates to think, and to St. Peter, from Abraham Lincoln to Martin Luther King, those who change history the most, and he really did, have always risked their lives for causes they were put on earth to defend. He was put on earth to do exactly what he was doing. He didn't want to waste time. He would have been a top student at any college in the country. I know the college as well. He's smarter than the guys there. He was so smart. But he almost, I guess, didn't have the time. He knew what he wanted to do. It wasn't like, gee, I want to sit in the classroom for 4 years listening to people teach me liberal principles, because they were never going to teach him that anyway. But he didn't have the time. He really didn't have the time. But every time the enemies of goodness and virtue tried to silence the voice of righteous and noble leaders like Charlie, they failed. They seem to fail. Ultimately, they look like they're doing well, and then they end up failing, because the truth has been unrelenting over the years, over history. And people like Charlie, it's just they've got a power that others don't have, and very few people will ever have. So today, like those martyrs before him, Charlie's voice, his message, and his legacy are stronger and greater than ever before. They are greater than ever before. Look, this is a horrible event, but it brought out the greatness of Charlie. Nothing could have ever supplanted this. It's incredible the way people are talking about him. And with great love. I mean, I read so many stories about some of the enemies, but I watch the enemies, and it's hard for them to speak badly about him because they just don't. And then you do have people in the days since Charlie's killing, we've seen exactly why our country so dearly needed his example. We've watched legions of far-left radicals resort to desperate acts of violence and terror because they know that their ideas and arguments are persuading no one. They know that they're failing. They have the devil's ideology, and they're failing, and they know it, they feel it, and they become violent. They seem to become very violent on the left. They've rammed vehicles into federal law enforcement, fired sniper rifles at ICE agents, and me, you know. But I made a turn at a good time. I turned to the right. Charlie couldn't believe it, actually. He said, how the hell did you make that turn? I said, I don't know. But fired rifles, threatened the lives of our Supreme Court justices, our great justices. They have to be protected. We just issued a lot of money, $60 million, to protect the Supreme Court justices. Very important. We can't let anything happen. In places of worship, we're protecting our people. We've seen that a candidate for Attorney General in Virginia boasted that he would want to see the Republican legislature, a legislator in Virginia, shot in the head and to see his children murdered. He actually said this.
Yeah.
And now he continues to run for office, and most people continue to back him, but he said he wants his man shot. He said shot in the head and to see his children murdered.
And Democrats still support him, and they won't call him out.
Let's see how that turns out.
And they're supposed to be the party of tolerance, and they're asking Republicans to tone down the rhetoric.
Have absolutely no tolerance for this radical left violence, extremism, and terror. We're done with the angry mobs, and we're not going to let our cities be unsafe. We're going to make sure our cities are safe. When you have Chicago, where they had 4,000 people murdered over a very short period of time, 4,000 people. And then we have a governor stand up and say, oh, things are going swimmingly. No, they're not. We're going to make Chicago safe, just like we're going to make Look what we did in D.C. It's so nice that we started here because this was one of the most violent places in the United States. It'd be dangerous to be right out here. But you couldn't go to a restaurant. The restaurants were all dying. The whole place was dying. You'd have these gorgeous, look at the Washington Monument over there. You'd have these gorgeous buildings and monuments and structures. And people were afraid to leave their apartment. They were afraid to go to work. They'd get into an Uber and they'd feel safe, and then the Uber would be attacked. They thought they made it to safety, and then the Uber was attacked on the trip in. But we've done a great job, and now it's considered a totally safe city. We haven't had problems. It took us 12 days to make it great. We took out, Pam, 1,700 hard criminals, career criminals in many cases, but these are hardened criminals. Many of them came in through the Biden open borders. We brought them back to the countries. And a couple were so violent that we put them in jail. We don't want to take a chance that they could get back in, because no matter how good we do, somebody can sneak in. They were so violent and so bad. One arrested 28 times. Every time he left prison, he'd get into a violent incident. 28 times. And we put him away for a long time. But we're done with the angry mobs. We're done with it. This is such an unbelievable place right now. You take a look where you can walk down the middle of the street with your wife or your husband. Your children can walk. They can walk alone. It doesn't matter. They can walk anywhere in Washington, and they're safe now. If this were a year ago, they'd have a serious chance of being badly hurt, even killed. They'd come in from Indiana, they'd come in from Iowa, they'd come from Florida to see their nation's capital, and somebody would have to call the parents, I'm sorry, but your son or your daughter's been killed. Not anymore. You hear those sirens going off? That's good. That's a good sound. Mm-hmm. That means they either got the bad guy or they're going to stop the bad guy. You didn't hear that sound because nobody wanted to do anything. Nobody. Listen to the beauty of that sound. Seriously. And that's the real.
But honestly, it's true. If you're getting mugged or if there's crime happening around you, that sound it relieves you, but it puts fear in the criminal.
They're fools. They're fools.
Yeah.
And death threats, and we're going to make our cities safe. And I thought it was Charlie's, one of his biggest dreams was that he couldn't believe it. Chicago is going to be a great city again. We've already, we sent people in there 6 months ago, and this governor said, well, crime is down. Yeah, that's because we had the FBI in there for 6 months, just preparing it for the bigger surge. And they've done a great job, the cash and the FBI. They've done a great job, and they love doing it. They love being able to do it. They were restricted from doing it. They couldn't do anything. And now they're totally unrestricted. All they have to do is stop crime, and they're doing it. By the way, Memphis, as you know, you heard they went in about a week ago, one of the most dangerous places in the country, really in the world. It's not just the country. They have very few cities that would compare to some of these cities. You go to Afghanistan, you say, oh, that's unsafe. Well, the crime numbers are much better than the crime numbers in places that we have. So Memphis, I understand, is doing unbelievably in 1 week. It's like a different place. And this took 12 days, and then after that, we just perfected it. But after 12 days, we had good safety here. After 1 month, it's like, it's really amazing. And by the way, restaurants are booming. Restaurants are opening up. The big problem we have, you can't get into a restaurant in D.C. anymore. So they're opening up. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's called safety. It's called law enforcement and letting them do their job. And that's why I said last month that I have directed the Attorney General and the Department of Homeland Security to confront the very real threat of left-wing terrorism in our country. It's a real threat. Not when you confront it, it's not, because they're not brave people. In fact, they're cowards. When you confront them, they immediately fold. Yep. You have to see them fold. You have to see them crying.
Yep.
They fold. But it includes dismantling the networks that fund them and finance them, and we're finding out who those networks are. We already know quite a few of them. When you see these violent incidents, and then you see people holding this gorgeous sign with beautiful wood, beautiful cardboard.
It's all
everything.
All funded.
Perfect paint job. And they're all the same. There are thousands of them. you know that they weren't made in the basement out of love. They were made by anarchists, and in some cases wealthy. I'll probably find some of my nice friends that are up there being so nice to me, especially lately. They're being very nice. But it surprises you who they may be, and you almost wonder why would they do it? But they're hurting our country, and we're really taking it back one by one. If we didn't go into Los Angeles early on in the administration, the commissioner, the chief of police, Los Angeles, said if they didn't go in, we would have lost our city. Now, they already lost 25,000 houses to fire because they wouldn't let the water come in from the Pacific Northwest, which they should have done. I tell you better do it. They didn't do it, and we had 25,000 homes where they had no water in their sprinklers, they had no water in their fire hydrants. It would have been a different kind of a thing if they did what they were supposed to do. We had to break in. We broke in and had the water come down. They said for the environment, great, they lost 25,000 houses. It's incredible. But the commissioner said without the federal government and President Trump's intervention, we would have lost the entire city. And we have the Olympics going there soon.
Yeah.
I got the Olympics. We have the Olympics. We have the World Cup. And we have, most importantly, we have the 250th anniversary of our country. That's going to be most important. And all of these things are happening. And we're going to have safe cities. We're going to have very, very safe cities. So 1 month after Charlie's death, we still feel the terrible shock and the pain of his loss, like just about nobody I can think of. Charlie Kirk was one of a kind. He was unstoppable, and he really was. Boy, when he had an idea in his head, he would call me, "Sir, please, you haven't done it yet." I said, "Charlie, relax, just relax." He didn't relax. He'd call me the next day again. It got it done. But he was like indomitable, and always will be. He's really irreplaceable. Nobody can replace him. But they're going to do great. But you can't replace that kind of person and that kind of talent, frankly. The word talent is an important word, but that kind of talent. So we hold his memory in our hearts forever. Every single day of this administration, we will continue to carry out the mission for which he lived, and he really did. He lived for this country. He lived for his wife and his family, but he lived for this country too. In Charlie's honor, we will continue like we have been to fight, 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 and to win, win, win. We're going to win so much. So the Presidential Medal of Freedom is a big deal. You have the Congressional Medal of Honor, military, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is civilian. And the Presidential Medal of Freedom is a really big deal. Very few people get it. Very few people, frankly, qualify. It's a decision of the president, but it's a qualification that's a very hard one to get. And I would like to ask, if I might, the military aide to read Charles James Kirk's citation for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I heard that this medal is the first of its kind to bear the cross of Jesus on the back of it engraved.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to Charles James Kirk. Accepting on behalf of Charlie is his wife, Mrs. Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk was one of the most influential American political figures of his generation. At just 18 years old, he founded Turning Point USA and grew it into the largest conservative youth organization in the nation. For over a decade, he tirelessly traveled the country, leading a movement to restore respect for our founding principles, reawaken our national identity, and inspire a renewed spirit of religious devotion. He was one of the great debaters and communicators of his time. Despite receiving repeated threats, he remained undeterred and modeled courage, logic, humor, and grace to the next generation. On September 10th, 2025, at age 31, Charlie Kirk was assassinated while addressing a group of students. The United States honors him as a martyr for truth and freedom.
This is cool.
Thank you, Mr. President, for honoring my husband in such a profound and meaningful way. And thank you for making this event a priority amid the peace process in the Middle East. Thank you. Very grateful. Charlie always admired your commitment to freedom, and that's something that both of you shared. So thank you. Your support of our family and the work that Charlie devoted his life to will be something I cherish forever, so thank you. To our gracious First Lady in her office for making this event possible, thank you as well. It's beautiful. To Vice President and the lovely Usha Vance, your friendship has been an unbelievable encouragement. Thank you. And to all our friends and family that are here and watching from all around the world, thank you for loving us. Thank you for praying for us and for believing in what Charlie believed in. And to our Turning Point USA staff and the Charlie Kirk Show staff, we love you more than you could ever know. And to the Turning Point USA chapters that are watching all across America right now, you are the heartbeat of this future and of this movement. Everything that Charlie built, you guys are the legacy holders of that. You are living proof that his mission did not die with him. It lives through you. And Charlie always said the next generation will decide whether freedom endures. And because of you, I know that freedom will endure. It will. And today we're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom. The very existence of the Presidential Medal of Freedom reminds us that the national interest of the United States has always been freedom. Our founders etched it into the preamble of our Constitution, and those words are not relics on parchment. They are a living covenant. The blessings of liberty are not man's invention, they are God's endowment. Charlie lived for those blessings, not as abstract words, but as sacred promises. He used to love to journal about this topic all the time, and with such a heart postured of gratitude. And he believed that liberty was both a right and a responsibility. And he used to say, freedom is the ability to do what is right without fear. And that's how he lived. He was free from fear. He was free from compromise, free from anything that could enslave his soul. His name, Charles, literally means free man. And that's exactly who my husband was. He was a free man. And from the time I met him, sitting across from him, being interviewed on politics and philosophy and theology, anything that Charlie loved, any topic he loved, and I just saw the fire in his soul, and there was this divine restlessness within him that came from knowing God placed him on this earth to protect something very, very sacred for all of us. And he never stopped fighting for people to experience freedom. He didn't. Charlie often said that without God, freedom becomes chaos. And he believed liberty could only survive when anchored to truth. And I remember in one of his speeches, he told the audience that the opposite of liberty isn't law. He said it's captivity. And that the freest people in the world are those whose hearts belong to Christ. But what's so powerful is that Charlie had the ability to communicate so brilliantly across all generations. And he reminded us that in a world that tells us freedom is doing whatever you want to do, the real freedom is the power to live freely and to do what is right. And in one of his journal entries, he wrote that he wanted everyone to know that you can't have liberty without moral responsibility. Freedom divorced from faith eventually just destroys itself. And what's so fascinating about all of this is looking back these past 12 years of Turning Point USA and his mission, there's almost this veil of sacredness. Because what I realize is that while he was building an organization, he was also building a movement, one that called people back to God, back to truth, and a movement that was filled with courage. And ironically, for a man who impacted millions, Charlie never desired to be the center of attention. He just wasn't. My husband was not a man of extravagance. He loved simple but deeply meaningful things. Truly. He loved his late night walks. He loved buying more books than he could ever read because he felt there was no such thing as a book budget. And he loved being able to read to our kids the same bedtime story on repeat because he knew it was their favorite. But to him, that was special. And he loved to sit in the sun on a Saturday morning with his cup of decaf coffee, and his phone was off because he was honoring the Sabbath. And for him, it was that moment to catch his breath and just be in peace because he was unreachable at the moment. And he preferred quiet birthdays. But that never stopped me from telling him. I told him every single year, I said, baby, I love your birthday. I said, because it's the day that God knew the world couldn't go another day without you. And so the rhythm of our usual birthday celebration for him was mint ice cream, mint chocolate chip ice cream. He only had it twice a year, on his birthday and 4th of July. It's just, and then after that, it was back to work as usual. But last year, his one birthday wish was to see the Oregon Ducks play the Ohio State. And they won. Oregon won that night. And it was by far one of the most memorable nights of his birthday experience of his life until today. And so, honestly, President Trump, I have spent 7.5 years trying to find the perfect birthday gift for Charlie. And it's so difficult. And those of you that have spouses or loved ones, you know how difficult it is sometimes to buy a gift for someone that you love, because he wasn't a materialistic man, so that also did not help. But now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have. It's such an honor and the recognition of a life lived for defending freedom. And that's what Charlie fought for until his last breath. And it was written across his chest in those final moments on one of his simple t-shirts that always carried a message, and this one bearing a single word, freedom. That was the banner over his life, and that shirt was a declaration. The same declaration he made in every speech, every campus visit, every time he shared the gospel at a church, every sleepless night that he would spend praying for the youth of this nation and planning for the future of our country, and just impressing upon them that when we defend liberty, we defend the soul of our nation. My husband never told anyone what to say. He never did. He never told anyone what to say. He would just encourage them to think. He would encourage them to think outside of the traditional political labels. He would want them to think in a way that was anchored in wisdom and truth. But he would never tell anyone what to say. Charlie wasn't content to simply admire freedom. He wanted to multiply it. He wanted to multiply freedom. He wanted young people to taste it and to understand it and defend it. He wanted them to see that liberty isn't self-indulgence, it's self-governance under God. He wanted them to see that. And every day I'd see him getting ready for work. He'd put on his cross necklace, he'd put his ring on his finger. And the boldness in his demeanor was always fearlessness. He wasn't afraid. He was never afraid. In his daily actions, whether in office or on campus or at a church, it was always without fear. That was his creed. That is how he lived out every single day. He didn't fear being slandered. He did not. He didn't fear losing friends, I can tell you that. He didn't. He didn't care. He stood for truth and stood for freedom, and he did not, everything else was just noise to him. And it's because his confidence in Christ was absolute. That's why. There was no limit to what he would have sacrificed to defend freedom for all. And if the moment had come, he probably would have run for president, but not out of ambition. He would only have done it if that was something that he believed that his country needed from a servant's heart standpoint. And Charlie lived only 31 short years. No, he's 32, but on this side of heaven, but he lived. He lived every single second he lived. He filled every single day with purpose, and he fought for truth when it was unpopular. And he stood for God when it was costly, but that's what we're called to do. Surprisingly enough, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did. He did. He did. No one else, I mean, I saw him do it. No, he never did it in front of anyone else, but I can attest to that. But he also loved people when it was inconvenient. He stood for God when it was costly, but that's what we're called to do.
I didn't hear that, so I had to skip back.
Surprisingly enough, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did. He did. He did.
President Trump.
No one else, I mean, I saw him do it. No, he never did it in front of anyone else, but I can attest to that. But he also loved people when it was inconvenient. And he ran his race with endurance, and he kept the faith. And now he wears the crown of a righteous martyr. And for me and for our children, the truth really steadies our grief, because heaven gained what earth could no longer contain: a free man made fully free. And to all watching, this is not a ceremony. This is a commissioning. And my message is simple. I want you to be the embodiment of this medal. I do. I want you to free yourself from fear. I want you to stand courageously in the truth. Listen for the still, small voice of God. And remember that while freedom is inherited in this country, each of us must be intentional stewards every single day.
Yep.
God began a mighty work through my husband, and I intend to see it through. And the torch is in our hands now. It's in mine, it's in yours, it's in all of yours, it's in all the students with Turning Point USA. And before I close, I'll share with you that I asked our daughter what she would like to say to Daddy for his birthday. Excuse me. She said, Happy birthday, Daddy. I want to give you a stuffed animal. Oh, man. I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream. And I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you, is what she said. And while our son is precious, he can't yet speak. In classic Kirk family fashion, his actions spoke louder than his words, and his gift to you, Charlie, and myself for that matter, was deciding to become the man of the house and be fully potty trained at 16 months. But Charlie, baby, I know that you're celebrating in heaven today, but gosh, I miss you. We miss you, and we love you, and we promise we'll make you proud. And Charlie's life was proof that freedom is not a theory, it's a testimony. He showed us that liberty begins not in the halls of power, but in the man of a heart surrendered to God. And so today, as we honor Charlie with this incredible Presidential Medal of Freedom on his birthday, I stand here with tears and just a humbled heart and spirit, because his story reminds us all that to live free is the greatest gift, but to die free is the greatest victory. Happy birthday, my Charlie. Happy Freedom Day. God bless you.
So that's the speech. Let me mute the music. I don't want to get dinged by YouTube. I almost said Facebook there. All right, so that was the ceremony and the speeches by President Trump and Erica Kirk. Now, I thought that I'll be able to get to the third video, but we've gone past the hour mark, and we're approaching an hour 30 minutes. Now, we're going to be ending the stream shortly. I would like to thank you for being a part of this, and for engaging and watching. You guys rock. Now, I might be going live again later this evening because the other updates that we're getting from the ICE facilities, while this was going on, I was tracking my feed, and there was stuff happening, and I was like, okay, maybe I should consider doing a live stream this evening, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do that. I have a few things to fix around the house. I have a thermostat to replace, so I'll be heading over to Home Depot to get a thermostat to install and figure out if I can get that done this evening. So maybe we'll leave this off till tomorrow. Now, a lot has happened over the last month with Charlie's assassination and the riots. Now, guess who rioted after Charlie got assassinated? Not the conservatives, but the so-called progressives. Someone who is important to the conservatives gets murdered, and then it's the Democrats who start rioting. They shut down the government, and then they go all out to try to make it seem like the conservatives are the violent ones, while text messages from a candidate running for AG of Virginia openly, in their text thread, openly call for or fantasize the murder of a conservative candidate and their children. When these conversations come up, I am well aware that there are evil people in the world. There are very evil people in the world. And if you haven't come to terms with it yet, I'm sorry, but you're very naive. There are very evil people in the world. And when it comes down to paying attention to what's going on, one of the things that you notice once you start paying attention is that one side tells the most egregious lies. The other side doesn't tend to do that because the voting population of that side will hold them accountable. If anyone on the conservative side said the things that Jay Jones said in his text message thread, they would be called out unanimously on the conservative side. On the Democrat side, they still want him to be on the ticket and they will still vote for him. 4%, I think it was, said that they would not vote for him. A whopping 96% said it doesn't matter. So which party, again, is the violent party? Right? So all of this has developed over the last month following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You can't unsee this. I'm bringing these things up because we need to have these conversations. There's so much happening in real time. Tonight, I might hop on a stream once again. Today, I just wanted to catch up on these two stories with Chuck Schumer making those incendiary statements. Let's look at the result of the poll. The poll on the backup channel says no, that Chuck Schumer was only giving fiery political speech. On the main channel, I have yes, it's incitement to violence. What happens when Democrats begin to spin January 6th and then they bring up the fact that President Trump incited the crowd to violence, and they say, okay, so what did he say? You listen to what he says. He says, make your voices heard. Okay, fight like hell for your democracy. And they're like, oh, it's an incitement to violence. Okay. In the context that, context matters. And in the context of what he said, he was saying, you guys, you're on a protest, make your voices heard. You must stand your ground. Don't take no for an answer. Fight like hell for democracy. That was what he was saying on January 6th. But everyone who hates Donald Trump says he was inciting them to violence. So we flip it over, and Chuck Schumer is saying you need to forcefully resist President Trump. And then you have people who say it was just fiery political speech, nothing to see here. But the same people will look at what President Trump said within the context of what he said and said that he was inciting them to an insurrection. So we have to be intellectually, spiritually, and morally honest people. I go through these cycles of being in disbelief at what I'm seeing and being enraged by what I'm seeing as the outcome of those actions or words. I go through those cycles every day. And that's why I talk about the news and politics, because we see these things play out long before anything actually pops off in the public eye. Long before anything happens, the language starts off with what is said in the news, on social media, in speeches, and then eventually it comes out in the open and riots break out. For example, they were all calling the ICE agents, Gestapo, and goons, Trump's stormtroopers. And eventually someone took up a rifle and began to shoot at an ICE facility in Texas. We had Antifa members ambushing ICE agents in Texas as well. And everyone says there's nothing to see here. It's nothing. It has no connection with all of the violent and hateful rhetoric coming from Democrat leadership. Are we still playing that game? It's just a question. Are we still playing that game? Because it's clear to everyone who is honest that these words coming from the Democrat side are the cause of all of these problems. Charlie Kirk was assassinated because someone was riled up and believed the words that were being said by the Democrats for 10 years. I said it earlier, 10 years of hearing that these people are hateful and evil, created the assassin that assassinated Charlie Kirk. 10 years of all of this has built up to the violence that we're seeing outside the ICE facilities. You can't call people in law enforcement goons and the Gestapo and encourage people to resist and stand your ground and forcefully resist, and you wouldn't have incidents like what we saw yesterday with ICE vehicles being run off the road and then them being attacked with projectiles. These are things that we can see. These are things we're seeing. It's not conflation. No one is making it up. Look for it. You will find the footage. If you don't see it on Fox News, and I've called out Fox News, I've called out mainstream media, they are not on the ground when these things happen. They only show up during the day. And once it's nightfall, they disappear. They all know what's going on. In Portland, once it's dark, the Antifa militants in Black Bloc come out and they begin to provoke ICE and the DHS. They want something to go wrong, which will trigger a nationwide uprising. That is the playbook. That is the playbook. All right, so my live streams are meant to run for an hour. We're way past the hour mark. I'm going to end the live stream. I will consider coming live again later tonight if I can. This live stream was particularly chill because I played through the first footage, did light commentary, and then played through this coverage of Charlie Kirk being awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And you know, I did some light commentary. It was mainly just you guys watching along with me. And I appreciate the company. I might come live again tonight, sometime tonight. I might. And it might be towards the midnight hour. I might do that. But I feel like there's so much happening that we need to talk about. So I might just do that. All right. So it's been a quiet day. Not much happening in the chat. That's fine. So I'll go offline, go to Home Depot to get a thermostat and see if I can install it tonight. And if I'm done and I still feel up to it, then maybe we'll do some tracking of the ICE facilities in Portland and possibly Chicago and cover some of the news around that, that I saw in my feed this evening. Thank you so much for hanging out. Leave a comment, leave a chat. Take the poll before I take it down. I think I'm going to unpublish the poll right now. I'm going to just close the poll. I need to figure out what you guys need before we can actually begin to have real conversations. The live streams are for conversation. They are for conversation. So I would love to have us get more engaged in the chat, have more conversations in the chat. I will find that magic sauce that will bring you guys out to play, because most of you guys just want to sit back and listen, see what's being discussed, and then leave or slink. I mean, we all have responsibilities. There are kids to take care of. I understand, but we have to begin to get comfortable with making our voices heard. Else, the people who don't have anything good to say will be out speaking us. They will out talk us. They are the ones who are making all the noise. They're the ones who are filling up the internet with the wrong data points. So if you go out there and ask ChatGPT or Grok a question, what those AI tools do and what pollsters do is they poll those who are willing to put out the data points. And most conservatives don't put out data points. And it's sad. I'm going to just keep doing what I do. I'm going to keep saying what I say. And I'm going to try to be as truthful as I humanly can be, looking at the facts and calling them out. And I hope that you will do the same thing. Go out there, do your research. When you hear something on the news, when you hear something from people like me, do your own research. Find out if this thing that has been said is true. Thank you so much for hanging out. I have to get to Home Depot to get a thermostat. So guys, I'll see you on the other side when I go live again, either this evening or tomorrow at 5. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.